Welcome to Dr. Rahul's Medicine. Now in this video we will talk about sarcoidosis. Okay, now let's see some basic point about sarcoidosis. It is the multi-system inflammatory disease. It is a multi-system inflammatory disease. Means there is not only a single organ which is involved, there are multiple organs which are involved in the sarcoidosis. Okay, now the sarcoidosis is more common in female as compared to male. It is associated with HLA-B8. But the best part about sarcoidosis is that it is a self-remitting condition. Sarcoidosis have the self-remission in the maximum cases. Okay, now the sarcoidosis is also associated with the non-caseating granuloma. It is also associated with the non-caseating granuloma. Okay, now this non-caseating granuloma can be found in some other condition also. These are Crohn's disease and berylliosis. Okay, now this non-caseating granuloma can also be found in Crohn's disease and also found in the berylliosis. Okay, now let's see what is the pathogenesis of the sarcoidosis. Now in the pathogenesis, now the first etiology in the sarcoidosis, it can be Propionibacter acne. The Propionibacter acne can also be involved in the pathogenesis of the sarcoidosis, but there is one antigen, and this antigen is named as the MTB catalase peroxidase MCAT-G antigen. Okay, this is the Mycobacterium catalase peroxidase MCAT-G antigen. Okay, now when this antigen enter into body, in our body we have the antigen presenting cell. What this antigen presenting cell will do, it will bring this antigen to the CD4 helper cell. Okay, and then this CD4 helper cell will produce gamma interferon, and it can produce the interleukin 2. Okay, now this gamma interferon will result in the formation of the granuloma. This gamma interferon will form the granuloma, and this granuloma is the non-caseating granuloma, whereas the interleukin 2, it will help in the proliferation of CD4 cell. The interleukin 2 help in the proliferation of the CD4 cell. Okay, now let's see what will be a clinical feature. Now in the clinical feature, the patient will present to you with dyspnea. The patient will have cough. The patient will have night sweat. Okay, now apart from the clinical feature, there are many organs which are involved in the sarcoidosis. So the first organ is the lung. Okay, first organ is the lung, and this lung is the most common organ involved in the sarcoidosis. The lung is the most common organ involved in the sarcoidosis. Okay, now there is one more MCQ which is asked in the exam, is that what is the most common cause of death in the sarcoidosis? The most common cause of death in sarcoidosis, it is the respiratory failure. Okay, now the next organ which will be involved is the skin. Okay, now in the skin we may have the two lesions. Either we may have the acute skin lesion, and it can be a chronic. Okay, now in the acute skin lesion, there can be a two syndrome which are associated. These two syndrome, the first syndrome is the Lofgren syndrome. Okay, and the second syndrome is the Hereford syndrome. Okay, now let's talk about this syndrome first. In the Lofgren syndrome, there will be a bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy. There will be a arthritis, and there will be erythema nodosum. And this erythema nodosum is the skin lesion. Okay, whereas in the Hereford syndrome, there will be a uveitis, there will be a parotitis, inflammation of the parotid gland, and there can be involvement of the seventh nerve. So there will be a seventh nerve palsy. Okay, whereas on the other hand, the skin lesion can be of chronic. In the chronic, there will be a disease which is associated is the lupus pernio, and this lupus pernio is seen mainly on the nose. Okay, so these are the skin manifestation which we will see in case of the sarcoidosis. Now let's move to the next organ, that is eye. Now, in the eyes, the patient usually have the uveitis. The patient usually have the uveitis. Now the question is that which type of uveitis is more common in the sarcoidosis? So there will be a chronic anterior uveitis. Chronic anterior uveitis is the most common type of uveitis that can be seen in case of sarcoidosis. Okay. Now next organ is the kidney. Now in the kidney, the most common lesion, the most common pathology that can be seen, it will be a tubulo-interstitial disease. Tubulo-interstitial disease. Okay. So this is the most common disease which is associated in case of the sarcoidosis in the kidney. Now if the bone is involved, now what we can find in the bone is that the sarcoidosis is associated with the Perthes disease. Is the Perthes-Jungling disease. Now if the patient is having sarcoidosis and the bone is involved, then the patient will have the Perthes-Jungling disease. Now this Perthes-Jungling disease is actually a osteolysis of the phalanx. It is the osteolysis of the phalanx. Okay. Now let's see what is the next organ. The next organ that can be involved will be a bone marrow. Okay. Now what we will find if the bone marrow is involved, the patient will have the lymphocytopenia. The patient will have the lymphocytopenia, and the patient will also have the anemia. Okay. So these are the two findings. We will see if the bone marrow is involved. Now, there is one more famous question that is asked in the sarcoidosis, that is, which is the most common nerve involved? The most common nerve involved in the sarcoidosis is the seventh nerve. So the seventh nerve palsy is the most common is seen in case of sarcoidosis. Okay. Now the next organ is the heart. Now the heart is the least common organ involved. This is the least common organ involved overall. Okay. Among all these organs, the heart is the least common organ which will be involved. But if the heart is involved, then what will be the pathology? The patient will have the restrictive cardiomyopathy. The patient will have the restrictive cardiomyopathy. Okay. Now let's move to the diagnosis part. Now how we will diagnose this condition? Now in the diagnosis part, so first we can perform the chest X-ray. In the chest X-ray, there is one staging system. There is one staging. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 and the stage 4. Okay. Now in the stage 1, there will be a bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy. Okay. In the stage 2, what we will see in the X-ray, we have the bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy plus we will have the infiltration in the lung. Whereas in the stage 3, we have only infiltration. And the stage 4 will have the upper lobe fibrosis. Okay. So the staging system is based upon the chest X-ray. Now after chest X-ray, the other investigation that we can perform, it will be a gallium scan. The other investigation that we can perform is the gallium scan. Now there is a characteristic feature that we can find in the gallium scan is that we have the panda sign. If we perform the gallium scan, then on the gallium scan we can see the panda sign. Okay. Now the next investigation that we can do is the HRCT chest, and on the HRCT chest we can find the galaxy sign. Okay. Now the next investigation we can perform is the bronchoalveolar lavage lymphocytosis. Okay. Bronchoalveolar lavage lymphocytosis. The next investigation that we can do is that we can check for the markers. Now the markers that we can see in case of sarcoidosis, these are the angiotensin converting enzyme level, or we can see the serum amyloid level. Now these two marker we can see in case of sarcoidosis, and this ACE level will be increased in case of the sarcoidosis. Okay. Next thing in the diagnosis will be the ratio of the CD4 to the CD8. In the CD4 to CD8 ratio will be increased to the 3.5. This ratio will be increased in case of sarcoidosis. Okay. Now, but what will be the investigation of choice? After performing so much of investigation, the best investigation for sarcoidosis, it will remain the endobronchial USG guided biopsy. This will remain the investigation of choice for the sarcoidosis. Okay, now let's move to the treatment part. In the treatment of sarcoidosis, we'll give patient the steroids. But if the patient is immunocompromised, or if we want to give the steroid sparing agents, then we can also give the drug like azathioprine. We can also give methotrexate. We can also give the hydroxychloroquine. Okay, now this hydroxychloroquine is safe in pregnancy. Hydroxychloroquine will be safe in pregnancy, but if the female is having sarcoidosis and she is pregnant, then the methotrexate is contraindicated. Okay, the methotrexate will be contraindicated in case of the pregnancy. Okay, so this is all about the sarcoidosis. I hope you understand this topic. So please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.